Picture a shivering figure around a dark campfire a million years ago, choking on thick, unavoidable plumes of wood smoke. Long before the invention of the cigarette, our ancestors sat in these clouds every single night. Breathing in the exhaust of a fire was a constant reality of prehistoric life. These early humans breathed in specific plant chemistries long before they chose to, eventually finding that certain smoke offered distinct ways to bond, heal, and survive the cold. This habit may be rooted in what scientists call the intoxication hypothesis. The theory proposes that the pursuit of altered consciousness is a fourth biological drive, right alongside hunger, thirst, and sex, embedded deep within animal behavior across the planet. This behavior is visible across the natural world. Siberian reindeer, for example, actively seek out and eat psychoactive Amanita muscaria mushrooms, deliberately altering their own brain chemistry in the wild. Early humans accidentally satisfied this exact same drive. When they threw local brush onto their fires to stay warm, they burned organic matter that naturally contained psychoactive compounds, alkaloids and terpenes that vaporized instantly in the heat. Due to the endocannabinoid system, our brains possessed the precise biological hardware to process these chemicals. When the smoke from these specific plants reached the lungs, the molecules traveled to the brain and began to bind to pre-existing neuroreceptors. Instead of rejecting the smoke as a toxic poison, the brain engaged with it. A hunter sitting downwind of a burning cannabis or tobacco bush would experience a subtle shift in mood, memory, or appetite. The habit of smoking began as an evolutionary accident. It was a biological byproduct of fire use that handed our ancestors a potent new tool for altering their minds. Over thousands of years, accidental exposure became deliberate. Early civilizations began harnessing the power of burning plants, turning the campfire high into a documented medical practice. The Ebers Papyrus, an Egyptian medical text from roughly 1550 BC, provides hard evidence. It contains prescriptions for the inhalation of heated herb smoke. Physicians burned flora, like henbane, selecting herbs for their real physiological impact when combusted. The mechanical logic is sound. The lungs are a highly efficient delivery mechanism. By vaporizing an active plant compound, it diffuses through millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli and enters the bloodstream almost instantly. This ancient medical system relied on a physiological pathway that remains central to modern care. We utilize the same rapid delivery every time a doctor administers an anesthetic gas or a patient uses an asthma inhaler. Beyond physical medicine, smoke served as a tool for sociological survival. In the harsh ancient world, isolated individuals warily survived, while the most cohesive groups lived to pass on their genes. Communal smoke circles functioned as a form of social technology. By collectively inhaling psychoactive herbs in a closed space, tribe members entered a shared altered state, synchronizing their neural activity and building deep mutual trust. This power to bond communities led to the development of highly disciplined shamanic rituals. Spiritual leaders treated the act with extreme reverence, regulating when the tribe engaged with the smoke. Archaeology tracks these intentional fire ceremonies across the globe. Researchers have uncovered 12,000-year-old hearths in Utah packed with tobacco seeds, and excavated Scythian burial mounds containing the heated stones and hemp residue used in vapor baths. These ceremonies were framed as a theological necessity. Smoke was a living messenger, a physical carrier traveling upward to deliver prayers to the spirits and bringing visions downward into the minds of the living. For millennia, intentionally breathing in smoke was the sacred infrastructure that held communities together and anchored their faith. That deep cultural continuity was severed in the late 15th century. When European explorers reached the Americas, they encountered indigenous cultures practicing the sacred use of the local nicotiana plant. The explorers observed the glowing leaves and exhaled vapor, but the communal context of the act was lost on them. To the crews of these ships, the practice appeared as a curious physical sensation to be taken and consumed. Indigenous tribes had spent thousands of years refining a disciplined sacrament. Following European contact, the plant was rapidly stripped of its cultural reverence to meet a growing overseas demand. European industrialists recognized the financial potential of the plant. They transformed a sacred local ritual into a globally traded commodity, pulling raw tobacco into massive factories and processing the leaves in bulk. Corporate engineering in the 20th century finalized the corruption of the practice. Manufacturers began adding chemical compounds to cigarettes to manipulate how nicotine hits the nervous system, ensuring it enters the body faster and leaves more quickly to drive addiction. A prehistoric shaman and a modern tobacco executive utilized the exact same plant for opposite ends. One employed its chemistry to sustain a tribe's social cohesion. The other engineered it to maximize physical dependency. Mass-market cigarettes are the engineered, extracted remnants of an ancient technology. We began as a species breathing accidental smoke around campfires, and eventually learned to refine that smoke into a tool for survival, long before it became a commodity.